We're killing her!
It's protocol! Dad, help!
You know, I still get chills thinking about that night over the Atlantic, when everything we thought was just a routine flight turned into a nightmare that exposed the ugliest side of prejudice right there at 35,000 feet, where there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and every second feels like it could be your last. It started simple enough, me and my daughter Maya boarding that red-eye from Chicago to Paris, her in her favorite teal hoodie, me just trying to blend in like any dad watching over his kid. But oh man, the storm that was brewing with that flight attendant, Karen Mitchell, it hit us like turbulence we never saw coming. Maya, she's 16, fighting this rare muscle-wasting thing called spinal muscular atrophy since she was 13, tough as nails, with a laugh that could light up the dimmest cabin, but reliant on this compact ventilator setup, about the size of a laptop bag, humming quietly by her side to help her breathe when her body decides it can't keep up. We jumped through every hoop to get on that plane, doctor's notes thicker than a novel, airline approvals stamped and double-stamped, TSA giving us the green light at O'Hare, even the gate agent walking us personally to our business class seats, 1A and 1B, because the front's easier on her pressure-wise, less strain on her lungs during takeoff and landing. I'd built my life around protecting her. You see, started as a mechanic in a small hangar in Detroit, turned it into Aerotech Solutions, a firm that designs navigation software for half the major carriers, worth a couple billion now if you believe the Forbes list, but I don't flaunt it. Nah, I wear faded jeans and a plain watch, keep my head down because flashiness just invites trouble. That night, though, trouble found us anyway, in the form of Karen, this 43-year-old attendant with 15 years under her belt, divorced twice, nursing a grudge against the world after getting passed over for a supervisor gig she thought was hers by right, and deep down, carrying this chip on her shoulder about who belongs in the fancy seats, especially folks like us, black and unapologetic about it. The first hour or so was peaceful, Maya scrolling through her phone, giggling at some TikTok memes, me reviewing emails on my tablet, squeezing her hand every now and then just to feel that warmth, that reminder she's still fighting, still here. The cabin was half empty, a mix of suits dozing off, an older couple sharing headphones for a movie, and this one guy in 2C, a retired vet named Tom, knitting a scarf for his grandkid. You heard that right. Big, burly dude with yarn, added a touch of normalcy to the hum of the engines. Then Karen starts her rounds, clipboard in hand, smile tight like it's painted on, checking pillows and drinks, but when she hits our row, that smile fades faster than a cheap battery. Her eyes lock on Maya's ventilator first, then flick to our faces, and I swear you could see the assumptions clicking in her head, like puzzle pieces she didn't want fitting together. "Excuse me," she says, voice clipped, leaning in too close. "Can I see your boarding passes?" I pull them up on my phone. No big deal, but she's studying them like they're forged documents, lips pursed, and I feel that familiar knot in my gut, the one from years of being randomly selected at security or questioned in hotel lobbies, the subtle digs that say you don't quite fit. "They're legit," I tell her calmly. "And this here's her medical gear. All clear, got the paperwork if you need it." She takes the folder, flips through it slowly, her frown deepening with every official seal, every doctor's signature explaining why Maya needs this to live. But instead of backing off, she hands it back and says, "This device. It's not standard. Could be a distraction to other passengers. Maybe you'd be more comfortable in coach. We've got space back there." "More comfortable?" I catch Maya's eyes tensing up, her hand gripping the armrest stand. I keep my voice steady. "But there's an edge now. We're good right here, paid for these seats, and her doctor specified the front for medical reasons." The pressure back there messes with her breathing. Karen crosses her arms, glancing around like she's expecting backup. "Look, as the lead attendant, I make the calls on safety, and this thing could interfere with the plane's systems. Turn it off, or I'll have to relocate you." The cabin stirs. Tom, the vet, looks up from his knitting, eyebrows raised, and the couple behind us whispers something, but Maya, bless her, speaks up soft but firm. "Ma'am, it's FAA approved, quieter than the AC vents, and without it, I can't breathe right. Please, we've flown like this before." That's when Karen snaps, her face flushing red. Turns out, from what we'd learn later, she'd had a rough week, demoted after complaints from minority passengers she dismissed as oversensitive. And seeing us there, thriving in seats she associated with her idea of privilege, it triggered something ugly, a mix of envy and that old entitlement, like we were invading her territory. "I'm not debating this," she hisses. "Turn it off now, or I'll do it myself. Standards matter up here." I stand up then, blocking her path, heart pounding but voice low. "You touch that machine, and you're endangering my daughter's life. You're not moving, and you're crossing a line." Passengers are pulling out phones now, recording discreetly, Tom muttering, "Lady, back off. That's a kid you're harassing." But Karen's rage builds, ignoring him, counting down like some twisted game. 10, 9, 8. Maya whispers, "Dad, maybe we should just," but I shake my head. "No. Baby, we belong here." And as Karen hits 1, she shoves past me. Her hand grabs the cord, yanks it free, and the ventilator alarms blare, a shrill wail cutting through the air like a siren. Maya gasps, clutching her chest, eyes wide with panic, struggling for air as her muscles fail her. 3 endless seconds of hell, me fumbling to plug it back in, passengers surging forward, Tom grabbing Karen's arm yelling, "What the hell are you doing? That's attempted murder." And in that moment, as the machine whirs back to life and Maya catches her breath, tears streaming but holding strong, I see red, pure protective fury boiling up from years of shielding her from a world that sometimes doesn't see her worth. The cabin erupts into chaos, phones everywhere capturing every angle, the older couple shouting for the captain, and Karen stands there, suddenly pale, stammering, "It was safety protocol. I didn't mean," but her excuses fall flat, hollow against the horror we've all witnessed. I pull out my phone, dial a number I hoped I'd never need, me direct line to the airline's board, where I hold a 40% stake through Aerotech, and say, "This is Marcus Johnson, code Delta 92. Divert this flight now, emergency landing, and have authorities waiting. We got an assault on a minor up here." Karen's eyes bulge. "You can't too, are you?" And I look her dead in the eye. "The guy who owns enough of this airline to make your worst day permanent. You just tried to kill my kid because we didn't fit your standards, and now you're done." The plane banks hard, captain announcing an unscheduled stop in Dublin, not our Paris destination, but close enough for justice. And as we descend, the passengers rally around us, Tom offering his card. "I'm a witness, former cop. I'll testify to every bit." The couple sharing their video, already uploading to social media, hashtags like Sky Justice exploding online before we even touch ground. Karen slumps in a seat, hands trembling, realizing her prejudice fueled by personal failures, a history of ignored complaints about her bias toward passengers of color, and that deep-seated resentment toward anyone taking what she felt entitled to has just imploded her life. Maya, still shaken but defiant, looks at her and says quietly, "You didn't see us as people, did you? Just intruders in your perfect little world up front." Touchdown in Dublin feels like a movie scene, flashing lights from Garda cars, medics rushing aboard first to check Maya, confirming the unplugging stressed her system, set her therapy back months, but she's stable, tough as ever. Then the officers board, badges gleaming, leading Karen away in cuffs as she protests weakly, "I have kids, please, it was a mistake." But the lead sergeant, a no-nonsense woman named Riley, reads her rights. Attempted assault, endangering aviation safety, hate-motivated crime. The rest of us deplaned to a hotel, comped by the airline apologies pouring in from execs I'd woken from their beds. But Maya and I head straight to a clinic, where she rests, and I pace the hall, rage mixing with relief, thinking how close we came to losing her, not just to the disease, but to someone's hatred disguised as authority. Word spreads like wildfire. Videos hit 50 million views overnight. Outlets from CNN to BBC picking it up, exposing Karen's social media history of veiled racist rants about maintaining class in travel, her ex-husband spilling to tabloids about her bitterness toward diversity hires. My phone blows up with calls the CEO, begging to handle it internally, but I shut that down fast. 7 prior complaints swept under the rug? Nah, this goes public, or I dump my shares tomorrow. Tank your stock. They cave, issuing statements, firing her on the spot, promising audits on discrimination, and from there, it snowballs. Passengers from the flight starting a fund in Maya's name, the Maya Johnson Advocacy Network, raising $1 million quick for kids with disabilities facing bias in public spaces. The trial in Dublin months later is a spectacle. Karen on the stand, trying to spin it as stress from overwork, but the videos play 20 angles of her yanking that cord, witnesses like Tom demolishing her defense with sharp testimony. She wasn't protecting anyone. She was enforcing her bigotry, plain and simple. Maya testifies via video, voice steady. You saw my skin and my machine and decided I didn't deserve that seat, but I do. We all do. And your hate almost cost me everything. Jury's out for an hour. Guilty on all counts. 8 years behind bars. No parole for 5. The judge calling it a blatant abuse of power rooted in prejudice that has no place in our skies. But here's where it gets deeper. Maya's setback hits hard. More hospital stays. Me by her bedside reading her favorite comics. Both of us reflecting on how this wasn't just about one bad attendant, but systems that let folks like Karen thrive, ignoring red flags because confronting bias means admitting it's there. We channel it into Change. The fund grows to $15 million, funding lawsuits, training programs for airlines on inclusivity, even pushing for the Maya Act in Congress, making it federal law to protect medical devices in transit and mandate anti-bias workshops. Airlines scramble, stocks dip, then rebound with new policies. Flight crews worldwide rethinking their standards, inspired by stories pouring in of similar incidents now getting airtime. Years on, Maya's 21 now, graduated from MIT in bioengineering, designing sleeker ventilators that blend in, harder for bigots to target. Her foundation helping thousands, from a kid in Texas suing a bus company for discrimination to a family in London getting accessible travel grants. Karen? She's still inside. Letters from her lawyers say she's changed, but a note from a cellmate slips through, anonymous, confirming she's raging, blaming us, never owning the envy that drove her, that fear of losing control in a changing world. It's satisfying, watching the replace a young black girl on a flight spotting Maya once, whispering, "You're the one who stayed put, right? You made it okay for me to dream big." And Maya just smiles, salutes back, a quiet nod to the future. Yet, as much as justice prevailed, it leaves me wondering, was Karen a monster, or a product of unchecked resentments we all ignore in our communities? What if more folks like her are out there, in uniforms or boardrooms, waiting for their moment? It makes you think, doesn't it, about power, prejudice, and how one stand can shift everything, but only if we keep pushing. So what about you? If you were on that plane, would you have spoken up sooner, recorded, testified? Or in your own life, faced something similar, maybe not in the air, but at work, in your neighborhood, where bias hides behind rules? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share if this hit home. Subscribe if you want more real stories like this, because talking about it, that's how we make sure no one else has to fight just to breathe free. Let's keep the conversation going, yeah?